part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another edition of the Red Guy and Rhoda podcast right here on the Press Play Podcast Network, brought to you by our title sponsor, MGM Northfield Park. We're going to tell you all about Kentucky Derby Day this week at Northfield Park. Come up a little bit later on, and a shout out to our esteemed producer, Jordan Powell, who makes sure everything sounds good for you out there in the podcatosphere. Great to be working with him again, Michael Red Guy. And the NFL draft has come and gone, Michael Red Guy. 3 days in Las Vegas, people getting married, Donny Osmond kissing Michael Irvin, Wayne Newton turning in picks, and all kind of shit happening out there in Vegas during the draft, man. What'd you make of all that stuff, first of all?
Well, yeah, no surprise there. I mean, if you're going to do a draft in Vegas, you got to put all of that stuff that you just mentioned and a whole lot more on display, Kenny. So, yeah, when Donny Osmond's there, man, oh, baby. Yeah.
Soldier of Love, Donny Osmond. That's my partner, JT, Jeff Turk, his favorite tune from the Osmond brothers.
Oh, really?
And Marie and Donnie when they were solo acts and everything like that. So he enjoyed that. And Wayne looked like I didn't know if that was a wax figure or if that was the live walking Wayne Newton there when I saw him out there in Vegas.
Yeah, I did a double take as well. Wayne is, the hair is absolutely jet black. He's got that good black shoe polish on that. And the face, man, baby. Yeah. My man is, I'm wondering, who does his work, because Kenny, I tell you what, I bet you Wayne pays big dollars.
Oh yeah,
for that.
Big
dollars.
Hey, when you have a residency in Vegas like Mr. Duncan Shane has had for how many years now, right? You can afford that kind of stuff. I'm just gonna, you know what, Reg, and people that were audio podcasting only. I have my receding hairline. I got my wrinkles. I'm going to age gracefully and go the way I'm going to go. So to each his own, though. If you got it and you want to do it, more power to you. But that's Vegas for you. And they put on a good show. And
they did.
The Browns did not have a first round pick. And the second round pick, they traded out of that to get an extra pick in the third round and another pick next year and everything along those lines. So give me your thoughts on, I guess, the first 2 days. We'll start there. The first 2 days of what Andrew Berry, Paul D. Podesta, Kevin Stefanski, and the rest of the scouts did for the Browns.
Right off the top, Kenny, I thought this was going to be a very important draft for the Browns. I guess when you say general consensus around the NFL, and I don't mean just the Browns fan base, is that, this team has a pretty strong overall roster, one that is still young enough to be able to be into a real strong winning flow for the next few years. But then again, you know how Andrew Berry, we've seen this in the few years he's been here. I mean, he likes to go young. He likes guys that are coming out of college, 21, 22 years of age, and be able to use them right away, Kenny, to get on the field as depth, if nothing else. And a couple positions I think he's going to have to do more than that with. So, it all started, right, with Martin Emerson. And with me calling college football with ESPN, Kenny, out for years, I'm able to get, I just request tape on each and every one of them. So
nice.
Any player I want to. So, I didn't know too much about Martin Emerson, to be honest with you. Mississippi State, the cornerback. So in looking at some of his game tape, though, I like the size, right? 6'2". And I know Andrew Berry likes that. He was very strong at defending passes. And again, he's playing in the SEC, correct, at Mississippi State.
Right.
So he's playing some premium talent. But Kenny, my question is that's fine, but is it going to be able to adapt to play press man against NFL receivers? Right. I think that's when you look at a corner, don't you think, especially given how the Browns like to play, with Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome and Greedy Williams, they're going to play a lot of press man now. And so we're going to find out. He was a very strong coverage corner, Martin Emerson in the SEC. We're going to find out if he's able to make that play strong in the NFL too.
Here's the thing for me, Reg, and I was thinking about this because I was surprised they went corner with the first pick, but then we come to find out a little bit later on, Troy Hill, they decide to trade him back to the Rams, get a 5th-round pick next year for that. So there was a spot opening up there. Plus, when you look at the injury history of both Denzel Ward, who they just re-upped, right, and Greedy Williams, so those guys have a tough time staying on the field for all 16, now 17 games. So when you go back and think about it, and if they knew that ahead of time, they were dealing Hill, then if this guy was best player on the board at the time, makes complete sense to me. And then you figure out where he works. Is he, on the boundaries as a cover corner there? Does he move inside? You figure that out as you go, but it gives you another body, if you will, in that secondary in the AFC, which is chock full of wide receivers and passing games galore.
No question. I would say right off the top, they're looking him more as a guy outside the numbers, Ken. I didn't see a lot of him playing in the slot in college. Doesn't mean that that's not something the Browns would try to look at, because as we said, with those three, and you're right, with Troy Hill being having moved on now, there's a big need for Martin Emerson to come in and be able to play right away. And I would assume they're going to ask the three of them, Kenny, to kind of be very versatile and be able to take that versatility and be able to play against slot receivers as well as outside the numbers. Would you?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100% there. So when they, after thinking about it for a while, okay, makes sense. They go corner there. And then what did they say they needed in this draft? They needed wide receiver help and they needed defensive end help, right? Because as of this taping of our podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network, Jadeveon Clowney is not a member of the Cleveland Browns. Chase Winovich, he's a good guy to have on the roster, but he's not going to strike fear in the opposition's eyes. You still have Myles Garrett, and you're searching. So they go out with that 3rd-round pick. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know who Alex Wright was from UAB. I'm hoping you can give me a little 411 on him from your connections out there.
Well, the only reason I did is because a couple of years ago, UAB played Akron.
Okay.
The Akron Zips. So I saw Alex Wright. Now, excellent length, Ken. Legit 6'5" and about 270 pounds. So with that, he fits the NFL need size-wide, because you're working against offensive tackles, right? So it fits size-wise. I don't know about strength-wise, though.
Okay.
And again, I looked at some of my notes in talking to the UAB coaches. But again, Kenny, this was 2 years ago when the UAB played Akron. So he's played 2 more years of football since then. You look at the numbers. I mean, he had 7 sacks in 2021, this past season, 7.5 tackles for losses, and he forced a couple of fumbles. Now that's, he's playing against Sunbelt competition. So that's a group of 5 competition, right?
Right.
In Division I of college football. The coaches, I remember I wrote down, they said he has elite strength, but they wanted to see him utilize it against it more, both against the pass to, get off blocks and also to be more disruptive against the run. But again, I prefaced that this game was 2 years ago. So, the young man has had 2 full years of football since that COVID season. What does that tell us about Jadeveon Clowney? Anything? Does it say anything in particular? I think the general consensus, Ken, is that Clowney's going to sign here and come back and sign. And I know he's looking for a 2-year deal, but I've heard that maybe he might be willing to take something in that 2-year, $22 million range. Now, is that, that's him. I was like, are the Browns willing to do that?
Right.
Yeah. Kenny, I would, to be honest with you. Hey, you want the one word association for Jadeveon Clowney?
Good.
Mercenary, Kenny. What, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, the dude's a mercenary, man.
That's it. Yeah.
Right. He's going to go play where you pay him the most. You trip his trigger that way. I mean, he'll come play for you. That's what he's looking at, almost 30, right? At this point in his career. And, again, I don't use that term. There's all kinds of guys in the NFL that are like that. And Jadeveon Clowney's one of them. He's a mercenary. Yeah. You're going to have to pay him. And then, and if you don't, then he'll say bye-bye and he'll go to somebody else that he feels is going to pay him. So I like the dude, though, Kenny. I think he was real good for the Browns D-line last year. And, Ken, the situation, we can get into it. I'm sure you will. But inside the defensive tackles on the Browns right now, Kenny, I got some serious concerns about that part of the defense. Well, I don't see a lot there right now.
Well, then we'll get to Perion Winfrey here in a second in the fourth rounder they picked up from Oklahoma, supposedly a space eater. But I'm hoping Wright, is able to be part of that rotation. Yes. Granted, he's not a first or a second rounder where you expect those guys to be plug and play type guys. But for the Browns, who had no first and second round picks because they traded out of the second round, those 3 third rounders, I'm expecting all 3 of them to play. And let's get to the third one. And that's the wide receiver, the top wide receiver in the Big Ten, as he won that award this year, caught a ton of balls at Purdue, is not real fast, 4.65. I think it was at the combine, 4.71 at his pro day. So we're not going to kill you with speed, but dude catches everything thrown his way. And I'm talking about David Bell, man, 96% catch rate while at Purdue in his career. I think it was there for the Boilermakers. And out with the old Jarvis Landry, too much money, slot possession receiver, in with the new third round pick at a reasonable price, David Bell. I thought that was a good get for the Browns there in the third round with their third pick.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I've always liked David Bell from the first time I saw him as a freshman at Purdue. He's got that size. He's, they list him at 6'1", 212 pounds. So you're right. Big Ten receiver of the year. And I think most people would have said, wow, that's Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave.
Right.
And not that those two guys, both of those two guys were first round picks, and not that they didn't have excellent years, and not that they're excellent receivers too. But David Bell was the receiver of the year with the Purdue Boilermakers. You're right. He certainly isn't a straight line speed guy. Never has been. And you know what, Kenny, if you look at it too, I don't know how much you put into these things. I'm always, you and I have been together long enough. I want to. What do you do on the football field first? You can tell me all the stuff you want about the combine and what the numbers say and what the 3-cone and what the shuttle is and what. That's great. And of course, yes, the NFL has to have that. But Kenny, I know what a man does on the football field first and foremost. And David Bell produced for the Purdue Boilermakers and was one of the top receivers in college football. Now, the big question, how the NFL likes to designate. Well, Amari Cooper is going to be the Browns' one, right? The number one wide receiver. And, after that, right, you're looking at, how they going to make this happen at 2 and 3, 4. So we can get into this later. See, I think that the two I'm counting on, as long as he's playing, I think this is a lot of going to with Deshaun Watson. How much better is he going to make these young fellas?
Right.
I believe he will, Ken. We can get into that a little bit later on. But excellent hands for David Bell. He's probably a 3 in the NFL. He's probably your 3, a possession guy, real good 3. Maybe he develops into a 2 at some point. He runs routes very well.
Yep.
Kenny, right now, to me, I think he's going to supplant Anthony Schwartz.
I do too. Now they're completely different guys because Schwartz is supposed to take the top off the defense. He's going to move the chains for you. And that's why it's important that Donovan Peoples-Jones has a bounce back year. And maybe that, like you said, with Deshaun Watson, that'll help because they need him to be the number 2 right now. He's in line to be the 2 now. Can he, fulfill that role? Only time will tell. And hopefully Watson, when he does play, and we don't know when that's going to be, that'll help make Donovan Peoples-Jones a better receiver at the 2. And then you've got Bell as your 3, and then Schwartz as your 4. I'm okay with that. Now, would I have liked to have seen more in the draft? Maybe keep that second round pick and get a Sky Moore like the Kansas City Chiefs did from Western Michigan. I would like to have seen that for the Browns, but they elected to trade out of that second round to get future capital as well as some capital this year in later rounds. So that's where they're at right now, and we'll see if they address the receiver room anymore in the lead up to the season in free agency.
Well, remember they did take another receiver. They took Mike Woods from Oklahoma. Now, but Mike Woods, a transfer. He transferred into Oklahoma. Had a solid year. He's only a 1 year sooner.
Right.
He started his career at Arkansas. 35 grabs, 400 yards, couple of TDs for the Sooners, of course, who, as we know, have a whole bunch of talent in that football program. Many analysts that I trust, Dane Brugler being, I think, the best, the Athletics. So shout out to Dane Brugler. He's outstanding. And Kenny, you and I used to have him on our show a lot, and I'm sure maybe you'd still talk to him on your radio show. But Brugler told me he thinks it maybe more of he's going to start out as a practice squad guy, Mike Woods.
Okay. Right.
So, if that's the case, we'll see. But they did take the second receiver, as I said. But I've always really liked David Bell, Kenny. I've always liked him. And I do think he's got a shot to come in and be show as a rookie he can be a very good possession receiver that will catch the football, in traffic in the intermediate zones. And, maybe he turns into that strong third down guy, Kenny, that when it's 3rd and 6, he runs that 8-yard or 9-yard route and you throw him the football and he's going to catch it, and move the sticks. So, maybe I think that's how they're looking at David Bell, to be quite frank about it.
All right. So the first 2 rounds, no picks. Is it fair for me to look at it this way, Michael, that their first round pick was Deshaun Watson, their second round pick was Amari Cooper, and then they went out and got Emerson, Wright, and Bell in the 3rd round. And that way, if you look at it from that standpoint, there wasn't a better quarterback in this draft than Deshaun Watson, and Amari Cooper, proven, although, hey, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, and those guys look like they're going to be solid number 1s in that for some teams, but you got a proven wide receiver in Cooper. So is it fair to grade them, including those 2 guys, in those first 2 days of the draft? Is that fair?
I saw you tweeted that out the other day, right? Yep. And I found that interesting and made me start thinking about it a little bit. And you know what? It probably is fair. Yeah. Because, again, before the draft and as plans were starting to be formalized, Andrew Berry said, and we're going to go get this quarterback that has already proven that, he is very legitimate in the NFL, a very strong QB, and one that has shown that he's going to be productive. And then the same thing with Amari Cooper. We can say, well, Cooper wasn't the number 1. He was the number 1 at Dallas. He wasn't the number 1 at Dallas. Sometimes he kind of went into some funks, but I really like Amari Cooper. So I'm with you on that. Yes. I mean, you got 2 proven NFL players still, under 27 years of age to add to your offense. So I think it's legitimate and I think it's very fair. Yeah.
All right, so that's the first 2 days. All right, and from that standpoint, I like what the Browns did there and adding capital for later in the draft as well as next year. When we come back here on the R&R podcast, we're going to look at day 3, rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7, Michael, and they took a kick. Nice job, you fucking kicker. Remember that from Todd Haley? Remember that Todd on, what was it, Hard Knocks when they were on there?
Yeah.
So they saw enough of their kickers last year. And as of this podcast, just a few hours ago, they said, Chris blew it. No, you're not going to blow it for us. You're gone. Chase McLaughlin, you're gone because they drafted Cade York. And we're going to talk about him and the other guys they drafted on day 3. Baker Mayfield, what's up with him? Where is he headed? We'll get into that. And we'll also take a look at the AFC North, all the draft classes in the AFC North when we return here to the Red Guy and Rhoda podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network, brought to you by MGM Northfield Park.
For the Dennis Maniloff Show, I'll tap into my 40-plus years of following Cleveland sports and 30-plus years of writing and talking about them, so as to bring you informed opinions and analysis of your favorite players and teams. I also will monitor the national sports scene and, when warranted, step out of the toy department and into the real world. And I'll always be on the lookout for special guests. By all means, join us.
What's up, everyone? Chase Smith here, host of the Chase Smith Podcast, and my podcast reflects who I am. My hobbies, my interests, my passions, my curiosities, my careers, my questions, and my family. I'll spend time talking about all types of sports, movies, TV shows, trending news stories, and other cultural events, and even faith. This is who I am, and I hope I can get to know you as well. Join me on the Chase Smith Podcast, and let's have some thought-provoking conversations, only on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, this is Mike Voorhees.
And I'm Brian Shaw. No, not the pitcher. We're the Guardians of the Land MLB podcast, formerly a Swing and a Tribe.
Don't have time to watch 162 games of baseball? We do. We have you covered with recaps of the games, stats, and analysis throughout the MLB season.
Subscribe now to Guardians of the Land and Press Play Pods for all your Cleveland sports analysis.
And welcome back to the R&R podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network, brought to you by MGM Northfield Park. And this Saturday, May 7th, it's Kentucky Derby Day at Northfield Park. That's right. Watch and wager on the top thoroughbreds as they compete in the $3 million Run for the Roses. The Northfield Park Food Truck Festival kicks off from noon until 7 p.m. and enjoy live music from 1 until 6 p.m. Show your most creative Kentucky Derby hat for a chance to win cash and prizes. Plus, register to win prizes all afternoon long. You could win $100 win bets on the Kentucky Derby, MGM Center Stage concert tickets, or the grand prize of $2,500. Doors will open on Saturday, May 7th at 9:30 a.m. and live racing, that begins at 6 p.m. at Northfield Park, and should be a fun Epicenter, Michael Rega. That's the favorite this year at
Epicenter.
The Epicenter. Yeah, okay. That's I think they're going to have like 18, 19, maybe 20 in the field. Woo! We'll see who gets scratched by the time that thing goes off on Saturday. But watch and wager at Northfield Park should be a lot of fun.
Oh, it was a fun time. Yeah, going out there watching the Derby.
Yeah, you know what?
Been at Northfield Park to watch the Derby back in the day. A lot of fun.
Oh, yes, indeed. And you know what? When you go there, you're wagering on these horses, right, trying to figure out who's gonna win. Just like Andrew Barry and the Browns front office, they're kind of betting on Perry and Winfrey, Cade York, Jerome Ford, Michael Woods II, Isaiah Thomas, and Dawson Deaton. Right, all the guys they got in rounds 4 through 7. Michael, who out of that group stands out to you as maybe could have the most impact on this year's squad?
Come on, Perrion Winfrey. The reason I mentioned in the first segment, Kenny, I'm not real enamored with the Browns' inside strength or lack thereof in the defensive tackles inside of Garrett and Clowney. If Clowney comes back, Perrion Winfrey, 290 pounds, a guy that has shown strength. He was if I can get a little technical here, he was a 3-3-5 defensive nose tackle for Oklahoma. So, which means, just in layman's terms, he played right over the center. He wasn't outside a center or outside a guard and in a gap, a 3-gap. He was right on the nose in their 3-3-5. So, listen, Kenny, again, same thing. A lot of guys I trust, Dane Brugler among them, had a 2nd-round grade for Perrion Winfrey. Okay. He's 295 pounds, and there's a lot of people that believe that he's got the strength to be able to mix it up as a defensive tackle in the NFL and be productive. Now, lateral agility is one thing that has been a bit of a negative for him, meaning that, he's a guy, he kind of plays in that box, inside the tackles. And that's where he's looking to get after it against the run. He has shown the ability to, fight through and get off blocks. Okay. So, Kenny, I'm really looking forward to seeing him because, what are we talking about right now? I thought I had, what are we talking about right now? Jordan Elliott.
Yep.
Sheldon Day and Tommy Togiai.
Right.
None of them have. And again, young players, I want to give all of them, but right now, none of them have shown the ability to be starters, really.
Right.
So are they going to get that chance? Yeah. And let's hope 1 or 2 of them really come get it. But this is why I think right now, because none of the 3 have yet, that's why Perrion Winfrey to me is extremely important and was a strong draft pick for Andrew Berry.
I agree. I like that they went D tackle there. They needed that. We'll hope that they found a diamond in the rough or somebody that, dropped in the draft. Cade York, though, for me, Michael, I've always had this special place in my heart for kickers, man. Now in high school, I'll tell you real quick, in high school, right? I didn't play football. I was a manager.
A kicker?
Well, I'm getting to that. Check this out now. I was a manager, and then my senior year got into the broadcasting side of it, doing the PA announcing for the home football games, right?
Sure.
But I dabbled a little bit in place kicking thanks to Jarella's Gorillas, Roy Jarella of the old Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl championship teams, right?
That's funny.
He had, I think he might have been the first or second kicker to have one of those little stands that hold the ball for you, right? The little triangle thing, but his was a little different. And I asked my dad, can you get me one? I want one of Jarella's Gorillas holders, man. I want to go down to the field and I want to see if I can make field goals. So I would go down and Reg, and I have no film to back this up. Okay.
I trust you. You could tell me you were pretty good.
45 yards.
Oh,
I could knock one through from 45 yards. Okay.
This is in the late 70s, early 80s?
Yes. Yeah.
That's very good.
Not bad, right? At old Springdale Dynamo Field, dirt and grass kind of look like old Cleveland Municipal Stadium. Yeah. And I would go down there and just kick and punt, just to we didn't have video games, right? We weren't doing the electronic games or anything like that. We went outside, we played things, we did things, we rode our bikes, 10 miles each way up the hill in the snow and all that stuff. Don't forget that. Yeah.
In the snow.
So I something about kicking. And the coach approached me, said, you ever think about kicking? And I said, yeah, you know what? I think we had lost like 22 in a row or something in football. We weren't real good in football. Yeah.
Oh, no,
So I was like, Coach, no offense, but how many extra points you think I'd be kicking a game? Like maybe one every 3 weeks? Is that what it would be? And maybe a field goal, I didn't do it. But my cousin, Jimmy Bosman, was a soccer player for Springdale. Mm-hmm. And he also was their place kicker. He led the state the one year in goals scored in soccer, and he kicked field goals and extra points for him. So it was in the family blood, Reg. I'm telling you.
I got you.
I may have missed my calling as a place kicker back in the day. So long story short, Cade York, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
He's pretty damn good, Kenny. He's pretty damn good.
Big leg out there in LSU, right? For Ed Orgeron and the national
Tigers.
One team, one heartbeat, go Tigers.
Right.
Cade
when
York,
they were good.
Oh, my goodness. So 10 of 15 from beyond 50 yards, I think, Reg? 57 yarder.
15 and 19.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah,
right.
15 and 19 for 50 yards and beyond. And I mean,
one
again, I looked
extra
at some
point.
video. Yeah, when
That's
he missed, and it's funny. I mean, just one of those unusual things. He missed more from 40 to 49 than he did, and he pulled the ball. He pulls the ball sometimes. Pulls the ball so it misses wide left.
Yeah.
But listen, Kenny, we know about how the NFL works when drives come to a halt, and you need that guy. Listen, we don't want to punt the football from 53 yards, right? We want to put 3 damn points on the board.
Amen.
And so listen, this kid has shown, again in the SEC, and probably the number 1 conference in college football, that he could get that done and make that happen. So I really like the pick. And the guys they got rid of, Kenny, you know what? They weren't good enough to keep the damn job.
Right.
So, I mean.
You know how bad they were, Reg? They made the Browns draft a kicker in the 4th round. That's how bad they were. Okay? Seriously. Think about that. Yeah, and by the way, a shout out and a thank you to Evan McPherson from the Bengals, because I think he raised everybody's eyebrows on how important kickers can be in the NFL. Just look at Mr. Tucker up there in Baltimore and what they can do. So if you're trying to get on even playing field with the quarterbacks in the AFC North, you better get on the even playing field with a kicker in the AFC North as well, because it could come down to that kick to win or lose a game. And the division. And they're playing from behind. You're talking about Tucker and McPherson right now. Yeah. I mean, because those two are big time pluses for for Baltimore and Cincinnati. No question about it. And that is huge for a quarterback. It's huge for a whole offense, and it's huge for the offensive coordinator and how he schemes and game plans too. Amen. And bottom line. So let's hope that Cade York brings some of that strength he had at LSU in the Southeast Conference into Cleveland. Go Tigers. The other pick I liked on that 3rd day was Jerome Ford, the running back out of Cincinnati. All he did was score 19 touchdowns last year for a team that played in the college football playoffs, right, Reg? And you might say, well, why would you draft a Jerome Ford when you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt final year of the contract? Dearness Johnson, nobody tendered him, right? So he's back. And now this 4th guy on the Felton kid from UCLA. Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you number 5. Okay. Well, I bet he's not 5 when the shouting starts the first week of September. I bet he's not 5. Could it be that maybe in order to move a Baker Mayfield, you might have to sweeten the deal and throw in a running back like that? So you add some depth there, because they were unable to move him supposedly on Friday to the Carolina Panthers. There was a report out there that they were in talks, could not agree on the monetary side of things. So Baker Mayfield is still a Cleveland Brown as we tape this podcast. So might they have to sweeten it a little bit with the position of depth, and that would be running back? That's something that crossed my mind with Jerome Ford, and Kareem Hunt to me would be that guy that could be that sweetener for somebody out there that's in need of a running back along with a quarterback. Kenny, I think you're on it, and I'll add to that, and it still may come to this, even with the type of situation that you just provided, that you may have to get someone to take Mayfield off your hands. It's pretty obvious, though, at least right now, the Browns do not want to, they have not or will not agree with, oh, no, we're not paying $10, $11, $12 million of Mayfield's salary this year. Now, could that change? I suppose so. It's all about playing poker right now. But, I mean, we could say definitively, Ken, right now they've said we're not doing that. Right. We're not doing that. So what's the other way to go then if you're not going to pay some of the salary? You're expecting, you want someone, you made it clear that you don't want Baker Mayfield to be your quarterback anymore, be on this football team. And now you want somebody to pay virtually $19 million to take him off your hands? Well, Kenny, I mean, I know the NFL owners, sometimes they like to help one another. Well, I ain't doing that now. They're not doing that. So we'll see if any of that comes to fruition down the road. But right now, the Browns have, without question, steadfastly, we are not right now going to pay any of Baker Mayfield's salary. So It might have to be the way that you've just described. Yeah. And here's the other thing, though, I will say. I want them to continue to play the game of chicken. because as I looked at some of these teams that need quarterbacks, Michael Rega, my goodness gracious. Drew Lock, I'll take Baker Mayfield over him. Danny Dimes, who's Danny Pennies now, he's going to, be on his way out in New York with the Giants. I'll take Baker over him. Let's see here. Davis Mills, give me Baker Mayfield over him.
A healthy Baker now.
A healthy Baker. Yes, fair point. I'm not a Jalen Hurts guy in Philadelphia. I don't think that's going to work either. And they signed 2 undrafted free agent quarterbacks to bring in. So I think there are 14. If I'm Andrew Berry, I'm playing that game of chicken, and you know what? I'm in no hurry. Hey, man, I'll wait this out. You want to wait this out? Hey, we went through the draft. We didn't make a deal, right? Okay, you go ahead. Hey, Pete Carroll, go ahead. Start that Drew Lock guy out there that you traded for from Denver. Yeah. See how that goes, right? Hey, New York. Yeah, Danny Dimes. See how he looks again this year. And so I waited out till training camp, Michael. Hell, I'll even go into the season if I have to and wait for an injury. I'm not just throwing him away for nothing. Last year, the Texans kept Deshaun Watson on the roster, the 53-man roster all season long, right? And they ended up, took up a roster spot, but the trade worked for them. Now, he's no Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, but he's better than those guys that I mentioned before. So don't panic. Play the game of chicken. Hold on to them. Don't cut them. Don't just give them away. I think you make teams wait because either A, they're going to realize their guys stink, or B, somebody's going to get hurt.
It's exactly what's going to happen, I'm sure. The Browns are going to hold on to this until it feels better than it does now for them to make that kind of move. Now, Kenny, I'm telling you, I'm hoping that I think Kareem Hunt's got a lot left. Now, I would hate to see the Browns move on from Hunt right now. In fact, see, I go the other way. I want to see more snaps with Chubb and Hunt on the field together. They got to be able to me, if they could find a way to do that and incorporate that into their offense, I think that that makes them potentially, assuming Deshaun Watson does what, plays football like the last time we saw him 2 years ago with the Houston Texans play football at dare I say, Kenny, a top 5 or 6 NFL quarterbacking level. That's fair, right?
Yep.
With what Watson was producing. So now if you find a way to get Chubb and Hunt on the field together, I think it puts a hell of a lot of stress and strain on a defense if you do.
My only thing with Hunt is final year of the deal and you're going to lose him, right? And I think,
well, sure, that could be.
And I think Ford is that insurance policy as well. At the end of the year, if Hunt, you keep him, you play it out, and he goes elsewhere, okay, then you've got Ford along with Felton and Dearness Johnson along with Nick Chubb. So we'll see, but you're right. That would cause – we all wanted to see it last year. I don't know why Kevin Stefanski didn't have them both out there on the field last year when they were having trouble at the receiver position and that. So hopefully if they do keep him, Michael, we will get that opportunity as fans, as members of the media covering the games, to see that dynamic duo, that 1-2 punch, thunder and lightning, whatever you want to call it, in that backfield with Deshaun Watson, man.
Damn right. Make it happen, Kevin Stefanski. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go, and you could still run your 12 personnel, meaning 1 receiver and 2 tight ends if you need to. Hell, I hope we're not going to see as much 13 personnel. We know Stefanski loves that. I don't want to see that. What was it last year? 23% of the snaps, the Browns were 13. Come on, man. That's not, it's not what the NFL is anymore. Just my quick thought on that. But you and I talked about that all during the season last year. I don't like it. There's got to be, you got to find a better way to stress and put more strain on a defense than that. So I'm hoping that with Deshaun Watson, Kenny, this not only makes those he's playing with better, right, but it also makes the head football coach and the guy who runs the offense a little bit more amenable to the things we're talking about here. I mean, you got a chance to be bold here. Do it offensively.
Hey, I'm okay going 13 a ton of times if you've got Gronk, Kellen Winslow Sr., and Tony Gonzalez as your 3 tight ends. I'm all for it then. But sorry,
Not
David
with Austin
Njoku.
Hooper.
Is Hooper or they get rid of?
No, he's gone.
He's gone.
done.
Thank God.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Harrison
He's
Bryant,
gone.
David Njoku, and whoever else. Right. So well, we'll see how that plays out. All right, let's do this. We got to get a break in right now. When we come back, Reg, we're going to take a look at the AFC North. All the teams, how the Steelers did when they went Pickett in the first round at quarterback, how the Ravens did. Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
We'll get
Browns fans, you might get ready for this.
Yeah.
Because, you might not like what you're going to hear, but all right, get ready for it because Eric DaCosta and John Harbaugh, oh, boy.
Yeah. And Ozzy's still in that room, so.
Oh, boy.
We'll get into that as well as the Bengals, the Super Bowl representative of the AFC. How did they do in this year's draft? Did they get anybody to protect, Jackpot Joey? We'll get into all that and much more when we return to the Red Guy and Rhoda podcast brought to you by MGM Northfield Park right here on the Press Play Podcast Network.
We are excited to announce that we are joining the Press Play Podcast Network. The Krypton Report podcast is dedicated to all things Superman, Supergirl, and the planet Krypton. We discuss movies, TV, game, comics, and all things DC.
So join me, Tyler, with my co-host James and Jania.
So join us as we explore DC's multiverse.
Look for Krypton Report on all social media platforms.
What's good, everybody? My name is Taylor Vanderbilt, and I'm the host of the Full 40 College Basketball Podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network. On the Full 40, we talk about literally everything college basketball related. It could be women's, it could be men's, it could be recruiting, it could be the tournament. It does not matter. We cover it all. So check it out. Again, it's the Full 40 College Basketball Podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome back to the Red Guy and Rhoda podcast right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Don't forget again, this Saturday, May 7th, it's Kentucky Derby Day at Northfield Park. Watch and wager on the top thoroughbreds as they compete in the $3 million Run for the Roses. Go get yourself some cash and enjoy yourself out there. The AFC North, I know one team that enjoyed themselves this past weekend in Vegas. Whoever was there representing them in Vegas. And that was the Baltimore Ravens, Michael Redguy, one of the top 4 draft classes this year, in my opinion, goes to the Baltimore Ravens and what they were able to do standing pat and then making a trade and moving up and then guys falling in their lap. You talk about impactful drafts, Michael, their first 4 picks. I think all 4 of those picks are going to be starting players for them eventually. When you look at Kyle Hamilton, the safety in the first round from Notre Dame, Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa, the center. Then you throw in David Ojabo from Michigan with the Achilles injury. So he's a guy next year that, should step right in. And then to get Travis Jones, and that's a guy I thought the Browns were going to target out of Connecticut, the defensive tackle. Man, all 4 of those guys are going to be starters for them eventually.
No question. No question. And Kenny, not just starters. I mean, Hamilton, I love Kyle Hamilton, man. Just one of the, I think maybe the most elite free safety with size and tremendous ball skills. And, I know a lot of, Browns fans like Kenny, you're probably not big Notre Dame fans, and nor am I specifically, but I like watching tremendously talented players. And let me tell you, Kyle Hamilton is that. And so is Tyler Linderbaum, Kenny, the center from Iowa. And, David Ajabo, the edge opposite Aiden Hutchinson last year for the Big Ten champs in Michigan, if he hadn't on his pro day come up that ACL, Kenny's probably a top 12 pick.
Easy.
Somewhere in that area. They probably would have taken Ajabo first instead of Hamilton if he was available. But so in those three, you got a chance. I mean, I think all three of them potentially, I hate to say it, but I think all three of them, we're talking, you and I are doing this 3-4 years from now, they might all three be all pros.
It's very possible, Michael. And I saw that, and it's just like, okay, Hamilton was a top 5 guy. He fell to 14, right? They needed offensive line help at center. They moved back up after the Hollywood Brown trade,
right?
Yep. Got Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa. And if he played at Iowa and he's an offensive lineman, Kirk
damn
Ferentz,
good.
right?
Yes.
And then you go out and you take the swing, knowing he's not going to play this year, but it's like having another number 1 pick in, Jabo. I think they did phenomenal. And then to get Travis Jones on top of all that, and Daniel Falele from Minnesota,
That's
too.
right, the old lineman.
Yeah. So I thought they did phenomenal. And of course, Ozzie has his fingerprints all over that. They had to take somebody from Alabama. They took Davis, the cornerback, out of Alabama. So again, they just seem the good organizations seem to do it every year, no matter where they're picking or what their record is, Michael. And Baltimore, I hate to say it, it's one of the best organizations in football.
Well, listen, again, you can, we're doing a show here too, but you know me, Kenny, not been long enough together. Listen, man, I'm going to tell you the way things are. And I don't care if it's, the Baltimore Ravens or the Cincinnati Bengals or the Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, when they, and especially the Ravens. Now, listen, that front office, I don't know how you can't say over the course of time, Kenny, they are not right there as good as any. They're in the top 3 to 5 every year. Every year, the way they build their roster, the way they draft, they always seem that, and they'll get rid of a guy when his run is up potentially. They're just damn good at what they do. And like I said, I believe that Hamilton, Linderbaum, and Ajabu are going to be all pros and by the time they're 4 years into their career.
Michael,
and of course, that's, a lot depends on Lamar Jackson. Sure, what the hell happens with him and how that all plays out. Right, no doubt. Got to have the quarterback. But, and you know what, Kenny, like we just said, quite honestly, if for some reason Jackson says, I don't want to be here, they'll go get their quarterback. They'll go get their quarterback, so I just think they're that good. And yes, whether you're Cleveland, Cincinnati, or Pittsburgh, you got to deal with that each and every year. And I think that, so that puts pressure on the other three's front offices. You got to be able to match that and knowing you're going to have to deal with that twice a year to be successful in your AFC North.
The only thing that concerns me about them is who's going to catch the damn ball. Okay, they've got Andrews, one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He had over 1,000 yards last year.
Right. He's excellent. Love him.
Yeah,
Mark Andrews.
Bateman now moves into the number 1 spot. But after that, Michael.
Not so sold on him.
Yeah. So to me, that's their biggest weakness. And they had like 88 picks in this draft, and they didn't take one wide receiver
how about that?
In the draft. So that's the area, though, that if you're looking at it, you go, what are they going to do? What don't we know? Who's going to end up there in free agency or maybe a trade. So that's something to keep an eye on with them. And then they went out and a buddy of mine, Greg King, we were fraternity brothers at Baldwin Wallace. His son was the backup punter at Penn State. And the reason he was the backup punter is because the starting punter, Jordan Stout, was the first punter taken in this draft and selected by the Baltimore Ravens. So Cook goes because he's up there in age, and they replace him with Jordan Stout, who can boom the ball. So they realize the importance of special teams in the kicking game as well. So defensively, offensively, special teams wise, well-rounded, maybe with the exception of the wide receiver position for me with the Baltimore Ravens going into this season.
Totally agree. So enough of the kudos to them.
Yeah.
The Cincinnati Bengals, Kenny, they went again because you got to deal with Lamar Jackson, and now with Deshaun Watson and whomever winds up with that job at Pittsburgh that we'll get to in a moment. So they go heavy in the secondary with Daxton Hill, the All Big Ten player from Michigan, and also Cam Taylor-Britt, right, the corner from Nebraska. Yep. So they've stayed in the Big Ten, knowing they're going to have to battle these quarterbacks in the AFC North. And I saw a lot of Daxton Hill. I mean, hell of a player. So he's going to go in and probably could play all the positions. I think he'll probably be the free safety. And then Cam Taylor-Britt will have a shot to go in and play corner for him on the team that represented the AFC in the most recent Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, don't forget that, right? And they got the receiving core back, except the tight end. C.J. Uzomah, went elsewhere, so I think they picked up a tight end. To bring into the fold there, and you got Jackpot Joe. Did they do enough to protect Jackpot Joey for you this offseason? Because dude was sacked too many times again last year in the Super Bowl and throughout the regular season, and of course tore his knee up in the first year, Michael.
Yeah, well, on paper, I'd say no to that. Now, still, as we know, a few more months till training camp begins, and we'll see if there's moves that they're looking to make, but no, that's fair. They didn't do anything, and Burrow, even though he had a phenomenal season last year, he was running for his life a lot, and man, he took some shots during the course of even in the playoffs. Kenny, he took some shots. So. Yep. They can't afford to, have that be a lingering issue, wouldn't you think? They got to, as you said, they got to make sure they get him absolutely to stay clean and be as protected as possible.
Yeah, and here's the thing. They didn't run away with the division. They were 10-7 last year, okay? Right, so there's not, a wide margin. They just got hot in the playoffs, and their kicker, nice job, you kicker, put it through the uprights twice to win them games.
He did.
So, it's their division because they're the defending champs, but I think it's, between the Browns. If Deshaun Watson plays, I'll give you Deshaun Watson plays 10 out of the 17, 10 or more out of the 17. I put the Browns in the mix there with the Bengals and with the Ravens. Okay.
Well, let me ask you this, and I know because we just talked about it in a sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this question. You get first shot at it. Like we said, now we haven't seen, but we know what Deshaun Watson, how well he was playing, correct? Before all of his issues came up.
Yeah.
Can Deshaun Watson do for the Cleveland Browns what Matthew Stafford did for the Los Angeles Rams? Now, before you answer, I threw this out the other day at someone. They said, well, he did. Now I'm counting the playoffs now, okay? The Rams played 4 playoff games, right? So it was 21 games, correct?
Okay.
Matthew Stafford threw for just shy of 6,000 yards and threw 51 touchdown passes.
Wow. They went all in and were rewarded, weren't they?
The big time.
Yeah.
Big time. So all these people, I got buddies in Detroit telling me, Jared Goff is not that bad. I said, really?
Yeah.
I said, I'm not saying, but he's average. And I'm going to tell you what, go. And that's why I got because the former Miami Red Hawk, Kenny, Sean McVay, that wild man, and his general manager, Les Snead.
Yeah.
They basically said, it's not good enough, Jared. It just isn't. We got a team that can win it, right? And we need a quarterback that get us there. And that's what Stafford rewarded them with. 51 touchdown passes and just shy of 6,000 yards. And the ring. So you tell me if that worked for them. Can Deshaun Watson do somewhere, Kenny, or is that just pie in the sky stuff?
Michael, the Browns did the exact same thing. They had a quarterback who took them to the playoffs, right? Won a playoff game, had a down year the year after, and they looked at that and said, he ain't our guy. If we want it all, If we
That's
want
right.
that ring, he ain't our guy. So
That's
we're
right.
going to go all in, throw in 3 number 1 picks and whatever else, and take the PR hit and everything. And we're going to bring in Deshaun Watson because in order in the AFC to get to the Super Bowl, we got to go through Kansas City. We got to go through Cincinnati. We got to go through the LA Chargers now, right? With Herbert there. I mean, so they knew if they wanted a shot to win it all, it wasn't going to be with Baker Mayfield. Yep. And so, I applaud them. Now, granted, you want to see what happens with these civil cases, 22 of them at least that we know of as of now. The criminal charges, there are none as of now. So, if this gets cleared and he's just on the football field, yes, he has the chance to impact the Browns like Matthew Stafford impacted the Rams, in my opinion. Okay.
I hope that, from your lips to the football god's ears, certainly hope it happens. And I believe that Watson has that kind of elite skill as a quarterback that he's capable of it, Ken.
Yeah. All right. So that leaves one team to discuss.
Yes.
And we'll start at the quarterback position, which they addressed with their first pick, 20th overall, in what was considered a down quarterback draft.
Can't wait to hear I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this.
They took baby hands. Kenny Pickett, baby hands Pickett. All right.
That's cold, man.
But dude's got mitts that are about the size of mine, Michael. I mean, come on, 8.5-inch hands. Dude's got to wear a glove indoors to grip and throw the football. Now, he did it very well his 5th year at Pitt, but what about the other 4 years? You know what I mean? Everybody focusing on that one. Yeah, he got better, but he had 4 okay years, 4 good years at best, but then 1 very good year, and he was a finalist for the Heisman. But I think I read he put it on the turf 38 times. Now, he didn't lose all 38 fumbles in 5 years, but he dropped it 38 times, right? That concerns me. 32 interceptions over 5 years. That means the ball was in jeopardy 70 times in 5 years, and that was in Pittsburgh because he played in the same stadium he's going to be playing in now. So when the Steelers drafted him, I had mixed reactions. I thought it was far too high. I didn't think he was first round worthy. And so I was hoping they would go offensive line right there, Michael, or defensive line. That's what I think that, they needed the trenches to fix that up because it both the defensive line's getting old. The offensive line sucked last year. Okay. So that's where I would have went with that 20th pick. But then maybe I move back up in the 2nd round to take a shot at him. Okay. Or just stand pat and have him fall into my lap like Mac Jones fell into. Now that was 1st round last year, but Mac Jones fell into the lap of Belichick in New England, but they didn't want to take that chance. They like this guy. They like his mobility. They like his grit, his determination. I think they overswung for it. I'm hoping they didn't overswing and miss like Franmil Reyes has been doing at a windmill's pace this year for the Guardians.
Don't get me started on him.
But and they also signed Trubisky in the offseason.
Well, so I'm gonna is Mitchell Trubisky going to be the quarterback?
No, you don't pick somebody 20th overall, do you? And not give him a legitimate chance to be your starting quarterback from day one. I think he's the default. He's the fallback. I think they want to see if Pickett can take the job and run with it and go with it. And if he can't, okay, then we've got Trubisky because it sure as hell wasn't going to be Mason Rudolph. So they got their insurance policy in Trubisky. And I think they're hoping Pickett takes the ball under center week 1 and plays all 17 games.
Oh, I think you got it. Yeah, that's the hope for the Steelers organization. Does that become reality? We'll see. I think that it just strikes me. And again, this is not to say he's an elite quarterback, Mitch Trubisky. I'm talking about he's been in the playoffs, right? He's proven to be an average, decent quarterback in the NFL. But Kenny, I don't know. For some reason, you'll like this. This is the kind of quarterback to me that the Steelers find a way with to go and have, and I could see 11-6, 12-5 year, and then maybe do some damage in the playoffs. That Trubisky seems to me like to be able to be that kind of guy. He showed some of that in Chicago, just not enough of it.
Right. He was 29-21 as a starter in 50 starts.
People think he was a bum. I wasn't a bum.
No.
Decent quarterback.
They were defensive minded, and the offense was challenged at best. But here's the thing: whoever is at quarterback and under center, they're going to have Deontay Johnson. They're going to have George Pickens, the second-round pick out of Georgia, who, if he didn't get hurt last year, would have been a first-round pick, right?
Right.
They're going to have Calvin Austin III, the scat back, Tyreek Hill type speed burner that they drafted in the fourth round. I question their quarterback drafts since Roethlisberger. I will never question Chase Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster and any wide receiver they pick, Michael.
I hope not.
If they can do one thing very well, it's pick wide receivers in the draft. And then you got Najee Harris and Freiermuth at tight end. So the weapons are there. The question is, who's the quarterback? Can he get it done? And will the offensive line provide him the time to get it done? That's where the Steelers, I think, are in question.
Well, that's fair. And remember how we were talking about David Ajabo a few minutes ago defensively? See, I think George Pickens, the wide receiver, the Steelers, that's the offensive version of Ajabo.
Okay.
Got hurt, right? Got hurt.
Yep.
Had he not been hurt, would have been drafted much higher. So they've got a nice receiving core, as you mentioned, and I think he is going to add to it and be a real fine NFL receiver.
All right, so best draft in the AFC North went to who, Michael Regai, before we wrap this up?
Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, we're in agreement there. I think if Pickett is, I'm not going to say a home run, if he's a triple for them, then in the rest of this class, I like DeMarvin Leal, the defensive end from Texas A&M. They'll get something out of him. Yeah, they'll make him into something there. Connor Hayward, they got 4 brothers on the team, literally 4 sets of brothers on the team. The Watt brothers, the Haywood brothers, the Edmonds brothers, and there's one more. I forget who it is. But Hayward, they got him to be a fullback, tight end, special teams demon. So I like the Steelers have the potential, I think, to have the second best draft class from this year, and Bengals third. And unfortunately, even though I consider Deshaun Watson part of the draft, most people won't. And the Browns, because of lack of first and second round picks, they probably will bring up the rear unless those 3 third-rounders turn into be starters and Pro Bowl caliber guys.
Were you a little bit surprised that one of their starting inside linebackers, they declined Devin Bush's 5th-year option today?
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean they can't, if he has a decent year this year, they could still re-sign him potentially. But did that surprise you as a guy who's been a starting linebacker for him for 4 years?
No, it did not. People that I've talked to in Pittsburgh about that, he has regressed ever since the injury, has not come back to form. And so picking up Myles Jack this offseason, they feel that the $10 million that they'll save next year can be used better elsewhere unless he goes out and performs, very well. Yeah. But then he may say, "Screw you."
That's true. Well, of course,
you didn't pick up my 5th. I'm going to go get the money wherever I can, the most money possible out there. So that's the way I'm looking at that. And and they're real high on Alex Highsmith too. They think Highsmith. I've
heard that. Yes.
Is a guy along with Mickey Robert Spillane, who is a grinder for them in the middle. So that's why I think they'll let him play out Devin Bush's contract this year and see what happens.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm going to go Baltimore without question, number 1 right now.
Absolutely.
I guess the Browns, and I suppose I'd put the Browns 2, Cincinnati real close to them at 3.
Yeah.
Because I really think they've improved their secondary with Dax Hill and Cam Taylor-Britt. And then, we'll see now. And if Pickett starts to show out like he's going to be mini Ben for the next 12 to 15 years, well, then that'll take that grade and move that right up to the top of the mountain, because the NFL is still all about the quarterbacks, man. I know that. That's why I brought up the year Matthew Stafford had for the LA Rams. Everybody did.
No doubt.
Yeah, Stafford, he's okay. He's got that elite arm talent. He's playing with the worst organization in pro sports, the Detroit Lions. Okay?
Yeah.
I didn't know how to surround him they had a couple good receivers, but defensively and running back, terrible. Anyway, maybe Pickett does that and turns into Ben 2.0 for that organization.
Baby hands. You had Big Ben, now you got baby hands.
Well, Ben didn't have baby hands. Ben had big hands.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. All right, Reg, always a pleasure, man. The draft is in the rear view mirror. We'll start looking ahead towards training camp. We'll also, get into some of these future podcasts with the Guardians at 10 and 12. Lost 7 straight, then they won 3 in a row. So they're Jekyll and Hyde. It seems like Jose Ramirez, congratulations, AL Player of the Month for the month of April. Right. And the Quan, as we're referencing him on the Kenny and JT show on WHBC, Stephen Quan was the AL Rookie of the Month for April. So kudos to them, but we'll see how that plays out. And we'll get into some NBA Finals talk, too, as we get closer to the finals. All right, Reg?
You got it, Road Man. Always fun, man.
Always is. Sounds great. And don't forget, everybody, this weekend, this Saturday, May 7th, Kentucky Derby at MGM Northfield Park. Go on out there, check it out, have some fun, win some money, enjoy yourself. And then we'll do this all over again real soon here with the Red Guy and Rhoda podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.